Hello!
We're here to
Yes.
talk about the only thing we've been able to talk about for like two weeks. Wait, how long has it been?
Like a week
No.
since we watched it.
It's been a week since we finished watching it, and we finished it like a little bit of a week after it came out. So like 2 weeks. The only thing we've been thinking about for 2 weeks, which is the Umbrella Academy, which you probably know what it is, but if
we
you
promised
don't,
we'd talk about it, and here we are.
yeah, if you don't know what it is a comic that was written by Gerard Way, and then
Way back in like 2008.
Yep, and then very recently got turned into a TV show, which
By Netflix.
I really liked the comic, but I didn't realize how much I liked it until I watched the show, and now I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
Love them both.
Yes.
With our whole soul and being.
Yes. So we've been harassing our friends with this show for like 2 weeks. The only thing we'll fucking talk about.
The only thing I can think about for like more than 10 minutes.
It's all I've been drawing. It's not good. We're both dying. So we thought maybe if we do we were gonna do a podcast on it anyway. But I'm hoping that maybe if we just vomit out all of our words, we'll be able to think about something else for a little while.
Probably not.
Probably not. It'll always get us even more hype about it, honestly.
But, you know, we're here, we're going, we're doing it.
It's worth a try.
It'll be cathartic either way.
Anyway, like we said before, we really like the comic, and the show is...
We've only read the Apocalypse Suite.
Yes.
Some
issues
of Hotel Oblivion have come out. We haven't read those.
Yeah, we read comics so quickly that we just decided that it would be better for us to, like, retain the information if we just waited for the whole arc to come out and then bought it as, like, one book, which is what we did with the Apocalypse Suite, except...
Because it had already been out.
It had already been out. Yeah, it had already been out for a long time. But... yeah, so we're not completely up to date with the comic. I did notice that Klaus is just dyed his hair black and was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, so I'm excited to see what's up with that.
He's just embracing more of the emo side of him.
With a hot pink on the freaking floral Hawaiian shirt.
That's the hair dye thing.
Yeah. He got simultaneously less and more emo, I guess. But anyway, the comic and the show are very different, but they're also very similar.
That doesn't mean anything. There's
a lot of differences
in the show. I feel between the comic and the show, I feel like the main thing is pacing, because in comics, if you don't read a lot of comics, and I feel like this isn't just an Umbrella Academy thing, it's like most comics, unless it's like a graphic novel, but if it's like comics that come out in issues, the pacing is just like, go, 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 go!
The pacing is the breakneck. It's painful. It's like, I have to take twice as long to read it just to comprehend what's happening.
To read it like 4 times.
But... the show is much slower paced because it's a TV show.
Work.
And since they had about 10 hours of content to work with, they got to go a lot more in depth with the characters.
Yeah, we got a lot more development because in comics that like takes place over many, many issues, because they have like, 2 pages per comic set.
Honestly, that's what it feels like. It feels like each comic is like 3 pages long, and then they
have like cool. 1 panel each issue to develop to devote to character development. So you got to know the characters a lot better in the show than you do in like the first few issues of the comic.
Yeah,
and also they had to put stuff in there because it needs to be a reasonable pace for a TV show.
Yeah, so, they added some plot points that haven't been that weren't introduced in the Apocalypse Suite, but are going to be...
I know that in Hotel Oblivion, because I've seen, like, some like pictures of the comic from Hotel Oblivion, and like that's
Yeah.
the part in the show.
So they're
it's
not
not
being-
really spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're going to be spoiling the comic as well.
Yeah,
Which
and
there's
the show.
there's and the show, obviously.
All of
But since there's differences between them, like we might spoil the comic to talk about like the differences between the show and stuff like that. But I lost my train of thought. Yeah, they introduced plot points during the season 1, which is the Apocalypse Suite.
I thought it was going to be most of it. Really wasn't.
Yeah, but like, they introduced plot points from Hotel Oblivion like early in the TV show, probably just because they were like, we need more things.
We need to
which is
slow
valid.
it down.
Yeah, and so we were able to get a lot more in depth with the characters. It was a much slower pace. We got
The commission wasn't in.
Yeah, the commission was not in.
Well, it was a little
not.
bit. They like.
Yeah.
They
They
never
alluded to it, but they never said what it
alluded
was.
To it. Like couple like the fight scene in the donut shop that happened in the comic.
Yeah.
And
then when Five was talking to Pogo about it, and then Pogo was just like, "What the fuck was that?" And then Five was pretty much really vaguely like, "I have done things you cannot comprehend," and then he just moved right along.
so it's like they like were alluding to it. They were like hinting. They were like foreshadowing it. And then in the show they were like, just stuff that whole like subplot. Just put it all in so we can take the pacing down a couple notches.
Yeah, and I also think they changed some things solely to make it more palatable for TV watchers. Like, I enjoy comics, but I haven't read all that many comics, and I got into comics fairly recently, so it was a lot to get used to.
Especially when you, like, was one of the first... Umbrella Academy was one of, like, the first ones we started, and I thought it was just... It's just real weird.
Yeah.
You think the show is weird? The comic is weirder.
It's way weirder. They toned it down in a lot of different ways. Probably because, it's like, if they started out the TV show like Aliens, it all started with the wrestler elbowing an alien in a wrestling match. Everyone would be like, "What are you fucking talking
The Eiffel
about?"
Tower!
The Eiffel Tower is a spaceship.
being stolen by an alien robot.
Zombie
robot. It was
by
a
a zombie robot. It's a spaceship being stolen by a zombie robot. This is the second page of the comic. It'd be like,
Some 10-year-olds to come fix it.
everyone would be like, what the fuck? So it's like they toned down some things so that it makes more sense and is
Also-
easier to follow, and two, so that people that are watching it on Netflix and haven't, seen the comic or don't read comics are like, what the fuck? Because comics, in comparison to pretty much every other medium, is guaranteed to be way fucking weirder.
Yeah, because they're kind of like a niche thing, so they can get away with it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, like, they're not, like, super niche. But then the Umbrella Academy is, like, a niche comic, and comics are already, like, semi-niche, so it's like you can get away with a lot of shit.
It had some weird shit happening, I can't lie. It was very
But
confusing for me the first time I read it.
It's pretty great, though. I do love it.
I do.
A lot of things about it were also very, like, cheesy comic book, which is fine, because as far as I've noticed, at least in the comic books I've read, that's just sort of, like, status quo for comic books.
Yeah, they
So,
don't
like-
really shy away from tropes, I think, in the same way that other mediums do.
They just kind of, like, go for it, you know?
Yeah, like, they're just doing whatever the hell they want. They're here for a good time, not to be, like, fucking
They're not here
War
to-
and Peace or whatever.
They're not here to be sophisticated entertainment. They're here for a good time. But
yeah, which I heard someone talking about the show, and they said that they thought it was really predictable, and like, at first I was just like, I mean, I knew what was happening mostly because I read the comics before, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could see how you could, like, guess what was gonna happen with Vanya, like, what was gonna happen with, like, Leonard and stuff like that. But again, I don't think it's a big deal because, one, it's very enjoyable, and two, it's like, it's based on a comic, and again, comics aren't here to be sophisticated, they're here to be some whack shit.
I mean, like, I
and a fun
literally knew what was going to happen. I thought I did, actually. Turns out I was incorrect, so maybe that's why when I hear people saying it's predictable, I'm like, no, because I was like, yeah, I know definitely 100% what's gonna happen, and then I was like, oh, that's not what's happening, okay. But
mostly we knew what was happening, and it was still very entertaining, and still, like, they were able to shake it up enough that I felt like there was still a lot of tension, and, like, you know, like, I was like, oh, what's gonna happen with this? Because it was like they had different plot points, and they had more development with the characters that I was really invested in, and I wanted to see what was gonna happen.
One thing, this is like a whole other tangent, but one thing that I've realized is that a lot of times when people, like, say stuff about predictability with the plot, I'm like, I really don't seem to, like... Usually with, like, plot-related criticisms, I'm like, well, why does that, like, matter, you know? It's still good. And I realize it's because it's, like, you know, they're, like, character writers and, like, plot writers. I feel like they're, like, character, like, readers. I know this isn't, like, reading, but I don't know how else to say it. And, like, plot readers. So, like, if you're, like, a character writer, you focuses on characters instead of plot. And if you're a plot writer, you focuses on plot instead of characters. And the characters are just kind of there to drive the plot.
Yeah.
Whereas with the character writer, the plot's there to, like, drive the character. And I feel like I'm more of a character reader, so it's like, I don't give a shit if the plot's predictable. I like the characters.
Yeah.
To me, and that's the part I care about.
We've put up with a lot of bullshit plot points in our day solely because of the characters.
Yeah, it's like, I
good.
can put up with, like, a really, like, dull plot or like a ton of like plot holes don't bother me at all. I'm like, what the fuck ever, I don't care.
I do
unless it's something real and stupid.
I do enjoy a good plot, obviously, but I think the Umbrella Academy has a good plot, and even if you can kind of guess where it's going, I think it's still interesting to see how it unfolds. It's like when you're reading, like, it's like when you're, like, reading, like, Harry Potter or something, you know Harry's gonna win in the end, but that's not as important as, like, watching how it plays out.
Yeah, like, I feel like every story is kind of, like, predictable to a point, for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's, like, you know, if you care about, so I guess if you care about more the plot, something like the plot being kind of predictable might bother you. But if you like me, and I'm just like I can basically forgive, like, kind of like the not the best plot if the characters are really, really great. And for the record, I think Umbrella Academy has a great plot, so, like, fuck off.
But, also, I think it has a very interesting plot, fuck you.
But I can't forgive something with a really, really good plot if the characters are insufferable or boring, because I'm like, ugh.
That's how I felt with Divergent, because I was interested in the storyline, but the characters were so shit that I was like, I can't do it.
I can't go on.
But then, you know, if something
much.
has a really stupid fucking plot, but the characters are good, I'll be like, I guess I'll put up with it.
It's like, I can watch characters just do, like, I could watch characters that I like just do literally nothing for, like, 10 hours, and I would be, like, superb, fantastic.
And I think that's where I think I differ a lot with one of my friends on this, because he's very much just like, this is, if the plot needs this to happen, then it needs it to happen, and then, like, stuff like that. Like, we've had a lot of conversations about, like, whether or not, like, Tony Stark should die, and he's like, yes, because that will stop that'll, like, be an end to his character arc. And I'm like, no, because I love him, and he can just live, and then I can just see him in the background doing random shit, like walking his dog or getting a massage or something, and know that he has the happiness he deserves. It's like, I just like characters. Like, as much as I appreciate a really good plot, I like the characters more than the plot, usually.
The characters are the thing that I care about the most. If you don't give me good characters, I just won't care no matter what the plot is doing. But if you give me really good characters, once again, it won't matter what the plot is doing. I'll like it.
Speaking of characters, this show has some whack ones. And since most of the characters are conveniently in numerical order, we'll go through them like that and then move on to side characters. So let's start with number 1, aka Space Boy, aka Luther.
I love how many names they have.
They all got like 3 names! This is one of the reasons why...
Drew always posts on Instagram. He was like, I love watching like the fans and the media trying to keep all the characters straight because they all have like 3 names.
I know. I mean, I could keep them like straight in the show, and I could keep them straight the second time I read the comic, but in the first one I was just like, they'd be like, Luther, Diego, and I'd be like, who the fuck is Diego?
Yeah,
Which one of you is that? I could like... they all had very distinctive character designs, so I could distinguish them visually, but I had no idea, like, who was what number and what their powers were and what their name was.
I knew Seance and Rumor, but I only knew them as Seance and Rumor. Like, I couldn't remember what their, like, names were. It was just like, yeah, Seance and Rumor.
Yeah, I knew Seance, I knew Rumor, I knew Luther, and I knew, like, 5. Well, actually, I guess...
I knew 5.
Yeah, I guess I could tell... I didn't know a lot of those, like, names at all. I'd be like, that's that guy. This is his plot. This is his purpose in the plot. But, like, I did not know what any of those 3 names were. Except for, like, a couple of them where I knew one of their names and that was it. And then whenever anyone referred to them as one of their other names, I was like, whoops did it? Anyway. Yeah. Luther. Absolute unit.
Yeah.
He is a thick lad.
I love all the memes comparing him to that, like, teddy bear that has, like, the tiny head.
Okay, listen, on the thumbnail, or, like, the background thing that you do for this one, you gotta put that teddy bear, like, looking in the window or something. I love it. It's so accurate. There's so many memes about him just calling him like an absolute unit, or just being like in awe of the size of this lad, or like the teddy bear being like thick, or just like never skip leg day. Just stuff like that, because he's, if you don't know, which why are you here if you don't know?
Spoilers, did we say that?
Yeah, we said spoilers. He has a monkey torso. There's a reason he has one. It's because he almost died, and that was the only way to save him.
Don't ask how that works. It just does. Don't question it.
It's a weird
cheesy comic book.
It's a weird thing, but anyway, in the comic, this dude could literally fit the other characters in one of his hands.
Yeah, he was even larger in the comic. There's literally
a frame where he is in a hospital, and he has Rumor just laying in his hand in one
and like a little bit of his forearm.
Yeah, but it's like he was absolutely massive, but they scaled him down for the show so he could, like get through doorways, and they didn't have to CG the shit out of him, because they actually didn't CG him at all. It was all makeup and prosthetics.
Yeah, I figured it would be.
Yeah, I figured they might have enhanced it a little bit, but nope, it's just all natural. Well, except not really, because it's all prosthetics and stuff, but you know what I mean.
It's all real life.
So they just, like, scaled him down, so when he's wearing his, like, overcoat and sweater, he just looks like an incredibly hench man.
He just looks like he's on all the steroids.
Or, as one of the characters says, look like somebody's been eating his Wheaties. But yeah, he has a monkey torso, so he's just really hench, which fits his powers because he has super strength, but that has nothing to do with how incredibly hench he is.
It just raises the question, did he get, like, stronger when he got more hench? But he had super strength before.
Yeah.
So it's like, did he get any stronger when he got super hench, or was he just, like, did he just stay at the same superhuman strength level?
And then he just looks like he has super strength. But anyway, a lot of people in the fandom hate him, from what I've been seeing. Like,
Yeah,
just a lot of
everyone
people
hates him. I don't
just
hate
really
him.
hate him. I like him more than in the comic, actually. Like, in the beginning of the comic, I was like, yeah, he's fine. And then, I can't remember what exactly triggered this, but, like, you know, I thought Diego was, like, a big bitch in the comic, which, you know, was intentional, so, I mean... And then I was just like, Luffy's kind of a big bitch too, but I like him in the show a lot. And I do like him in the comic.
He's stupid.
He's
a dumbass.
he is such a dumbass, but
he's
like...
more intelligent in the comics.
Yeah.
But in this show, he's a straight up dumbass.
He's
don't
just
get
a
me
fool,
wrong.
but
I
you
just
know...
don't hate him. He didn't have any bad intentions. He was just an idiot.
So is like everyone on the show, though, except
But
5.
his idiocy had much more consequences.
Yeah, he's a fool, but you know, he had the best of intentions. He's just a kind of a dumb bitch, but you know, it's okay. I still like him. I still think he's a likable guy. It might be partially because I'm a sucker for dumb bitch characters, but like, you know, I liked him. And I think the actor that played him did a really good job. Playing this dumbass bitch, but
It's like, listen, maybe if you've locked your sister in a weird, like, basement prison, or whatever the fuck that was, and literally all of your other siblings are like, hey, no, maybe you should just accept that you were outvoted.
I think one of his biggest flaws, other than being a little dumb, is that since he's number 1, he feels like he has to be the leader, and he feels like he has to make all the right decisions, and he has to be the one to take charge and make sure everybody else is doing the right thing.
He clearly doesn't trust any of his other siblings.
And he doesn't trust any of his other siblings, which in some cases, fair. But it's like, I think it's more like he really wanted to make the right decision and be a good leader, but he just kept making the wrong choices.
Because he's dumb.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But overall, I definitely don't think he's a bad character, and then I like him as a person. And again, the actor did a good job. It was kind of funny because I'm pretty sure the actor's like Scottish or Irish or something. Because it slipped a couple of times. Mostly when he said 5. It was like every time he said 5, I was like, there it is. And you know, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that I don't care about. Some people get really stuck on that for some reason, but it doesn't. If it's in a bad show or movie, I will make fun of it, but if it's in something I like, I'll just kind of be like, haha, that's fine. I'll still kind of make fun of it, but like in a lighthearted way.
I'll make fun of it, but in like a loving kind of like
yeah, like
way.
If it's in something that I think is good, it's endearing, but then if it's in something that I think is bad, it's just kind of like, oh, well, that's just the cherry on top, isn't it? Yeah. You know, that's just how I feel about it.
Kind of hypocritical, but like it's TV. Who cares that much?
I mean, even in something that's bad, I don't think that actually contributes to it being worse. I'll just make fun of it in a less lighthearted way. I'll be like, and then there's this bitch who keeps putting in a random southern accent for like 2 lines and then just doesn't again, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? But you know, in like the Umbrella Academy, you're just like, oh, Luther sounds Scottish when he says the word 5, haha, that's kind of funny.
Plus his accent's really good every other point.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
you know,
who cares?
Yeah. So now on number 2, aka Diego, aka the Kraken.
Really should have been Ben's name, to be honest. The Kraken.
I mean, Ben's name fits too, though.
True, but like, the Kraken.
It's a dumb name. It makes more sense with this power in the comic, which brings us to my first point. Well, it's actually my last point, but...
Your first point.
My first point. His power is so weird and specific, and it changes from the comic to the show, and it's so... lame comparison to everyone else.
They literally changed it in the show and it was still kind of lame.
In the comics, he uses knives to fight in both the comic and the show, but in the comic, his powers, he can hold his breath for as long as he wants, which is helpful. And, but not really when your other siblings can bend reality to their whim and stuff like that, which multiple of them can do.
So, that's kind of probably a little disappointing, isn't it? And your siblings get, super strength and, reality manipulation and, talking to the dead, and you're like, I can hold my breath. It's not even breathe underwater.
It's just that you can just go for a long time without oxygen, basically.
It's basically the same thing, but I feel like the wording there really contributes to how lame it sounds.
Breathing underwater would be yeah, that's still underwhelming, but, that's kind of cool, but just, he can hold his breath. It's what? And then in the show, they changed it so he can just, throw things. It's he can basically throw... They explained it as just, he can curve anything he throws, and he usually throws knives.
Has, really low-level telekinesis, I guess.
Very specific telekinesis. So it's, there are multiple points in the show when he's, standing next to a wall, or, he throws something straight, and then it curves, does a 90-degree angle, and then, hits somebody, which is cool. More helpful.
It's very helpful.
Both of his powers are helpful, but underwhelming in comparison to other people, and I think that...
it's objectively more helpful than, Klaus's power in, a combat situation.
Well, not really. Most of the time, but once Klaus gets his shit together minimally, it's alright.
Because they conveniently know a dead person who has superpowers that are more helpful in a combat situation.
Yeah, but then also in the comics he has telekinesis, which is helpful.
That's true, he does have telekinesis in the comics, which is much more helpful in a combat situation.
But anyway, I think Diego's somewhat underwhelming powers kind of make it more help with his character, because as Gerard was explaining in his post, the numbers are ranks, which I thought they were just kind of just in whichever one he saw.
Bitchy thing to do.
I know, it's I thought they numbered them just and just because that was just whoever he pointed to first or whoever he found first or whatever. But no, it's because he ranked them in order of importance. And he made Diego number 2 because he knew that being number 2 would drive him crazy and drive him to be better and always try to, outmatch number 1. And considering that he also has a very underwhelming power, I think if they made him, number 6 or number 7, he would probably be more likely
give up,
just kind of be well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But... making him number 2 makes him not only want to be number 1 more really badly want to be number 1, but it also makes him feel like he probably has more potential than he probably does. So it drove him, or probably did when he was younger, which drove him to be a lot better. Because he's one of the most helpful people on the team.
He's badass.
He's hella badass.
I know we just spent the past 5 minutes talking about how lame his powers are, but he's fucking cool.
He'll fuck you shit up, dude. But
he's one of the most competent fighters. It's just his power
isn't really as helpful to that.
So, which is even more cool because it means he just did that on his own.
And that's probably why Hargreaves made him number 2, because he was just this dude could be hella badass. He just needs that thing to get him there, Which still what a shit ass move, though.
I know. We can talk about that later. So I have Hargreaves under the side character thing, and I can't wait to whip him to shreds because he's the fucking worst.
Anyway, basically, to sum up, Diego was a very angry boy.
No. Hold on.
Okay, alright.
I really like him, obviously, but like, I like how we got to see more of his like softer side, because like as the
Yes.
poster for him said, he's super bitter.
He is very bitter.
And in
He's
the
so
comics, it was
bitter.
like they implied he had like a softer side, or at least used to at a point in time. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to see him be a little more soft. I like that. I like softness.
I like his stutter.
That was soft. That
Yeah, he's just so he's just an asshole, but he's soft on the inside, and
asshole on the
he
outside.
he just needs a hug. goddammit. Someone hug him.
I feel like
he's
they
just-
all need us.
He's just an angry boy who loves his mom and stutters when he gets upset. And I mean, like, yeah, he's kind of like an absolute dick sometimes, but like, it's understandable given his circumstances. You know, he deserves better.
Also, I kind of like that they gave him a stutter, because it's like usually in like media and stuff, people who have stutters are basically just something you give to a character who's like really nervous
Yeah.
all the time, which makes sense, because like there's sort of a correlation between stuttering and being nervous. People tend to stutter more when you're nervous, but it's also
that's like a natural human reaction to like being nervous, but having like a actual like medical stammer, it has nothing to do with your emotions.
Well, some people who have an actual like medical stutter, it does get worse when they're nervous, because it's a natural human thing that all humans do, most humans do, when they get nervous. But it's like, it just, because of that like slight correlation, it's like always just given to like to like characters who have more of a nervous personality, and like Diego does not. He seems to be very confident, dude.
He's like the baddest bitch in the academy, but he still has a stutter, and I
Which I
actually
think was good.
Yeah,
You need
I think
better
it's good
representation.
Yeah, and I had a teacher last semester who has a stammer, and his stammer is very accurate to like what an actual stammer is like, because it's not just like somebody who's just like hi, hello there. It's like they're talking normally, and then they just get stuck on a word, and they keep like starting. Like, they just keep, like, repeating the start of it over and over again, and they just have to stop and be kind of like, God damn it, and then start over again. Like, that's what my teacher was like. Like, she would get stuck on certain words, and, like, she had some sounds that she was better at and some that she was worse at, and there would be a lot of times where she would just be talking, and then she'd just get stuck on, like, she got stuck on B words a lot, so she'd be like,
that's another thing. Like,
and then she'd,
people
like,
with-
stop, and then get back into it and be fine.
Like, that's another thing. Most people with stutters don't stutter at on every word.
Yeah.
They there's like certain sounds that they tend to stutter on, and I think they did that too with like M sounds.
Yeah, he had a lot of trouble with M sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good. I appreciated that a lot more than I feel like any is normal to.
Especially since you don't have a stammer. Like, if you had one, then you could, it'd probably be more understandable for you to be like, fuck yeah! But I mean, you know, like, it's cool to see something that's like...
It's just one of those things that, like, over time has been kind of irritating me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, like... there's nothing wrong with giving, like, nervous characters, like, a stutter. Because, like, you know, like I said, there was a bit of a correlation there.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously there are probably plenty of people who have, like, very nervous personalities who gotta stutter.
Yeah.
But it's, like, it's nice to see, like, occasionally someone who's just a normal human. Well, no, not normal. Someone who's, like, not nervous all the time, who has a stutter, because it's just a speech impediment that people have. It has nothing to do with your personality.
Yeah, but see, so I think he's great. Didn't really like him in the comics, like him a lot in the show.
I liked him in the comics.
I didn't,
Fuck you.
but upon my second reading, I do like him more, but, like, on my first time, I was just like, this dude's, like, a mega bitch, isn't he? He's supposed to be kind of an asshole, so it's not like I thought he was, like, a bad character, I just didn't like him as a person, you know? I cannot emphasize enough how much I think that Gerard is great at writing all characters all the time. There's a reason why, like, all of My Chemical Romance's albums are concept albums. It's because he's good at writing things.
Yeah, can't emphasize how much we think Gerard Way is good at everything ever. So, like,
everything he does.
So, there's that.
But yeah. In summary of Diego, angry boy, loves his mom, needs a hug, very bitter.
Super bitter.
Super bitter. Very
I love
cool.
those posters. This is a tangent, but I love those posters because some of them were like stuff like super strong, super famous, super ordinary, where it's like, okay, I kind of see where you're going, but then there was like super bitter, super high, super dead, and it's like, alright.
Then there was 5 where it was just like super old, and then he was like 13 looking at his bitch, and then if you didn't know anything about him, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
It really conveys the tone of the show very well.
Yeah, it really do.
Anyway, on to Allison.
She is number 3, aka the rumor.
Which was the only thing I knew her as for basically until I watched the show. I couldn't remember what her name was.
I couldn't remember what, like, all of their names were. So, like, I knew that Vanya was Vanya. I knew Vanya's name. Mostly because she wasn't called anything else, really. She was just called Vanya. Because she didn't have a superhero name, and she was kind of estranged from her family, so no one called her number 7. Yeah. So I knew Vanya's name. But, like, everybody else, when they were introduced in the first episode, I was like, was that what their name was in the comic? I have no memory.
It was, okay, for, like, me, as soon as they said, like, their names in the show, I was like, oh, yeah, that was what their name was. Mm-hmm. Like, I remembered, like, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. So.
I mean, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right, but I just didn't have any memory of it at all, so I was kind of like, But yeah, anyway. Allison. This bitch is overpowered as fuck.
Oh, yeah, good thing she just decided to never use her powers on anything ever, or else everyone who stood against them would have been completely fucking screwed.
She's the type of person where, like, I feel like that some people I know would be annoyed by her in the show because she never really uses her powers, but it doesn't really bother me because it's like, if she used her powers, she would be able to solve the entire show, unless there are limitations that we're not familiar with. She would be able to solve the whole show in, like, one sentence. Because if you don't know, she's called the rumor because anything she says is true. Anything she says becomes true.
Yeah, I think one thing about the show is that I feel like it gave maybe more the impression that her powers are more like mind control. Yeah. Because that's all she ever used it for. So there's some people and maybe that is what they've gone with in the show. Uh-huh. And there's some people who just referring to her power as mind control. If you read the comics, specifically the one from, like, the Free Comic Book Day, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's basically, like, a promotional thing where comic stores give out a free issue of a comic that's, like, gonna be released soon to get people interested in it, and it's usually, like, just a standalone story with the characters. But in the one for the Umbrella Academy, which is called, I think, But the Past Ain't Through With You, because Gerard Way thinks he's a
like,
fucking
fuck
comedian,
you, I
guess.
But, like, he just thinks he's a goddamn comedian.
But it's established that rumor can literally just bend reality.
Because the whole thing is that it starts out and they find her dead on the ground. Like, she and her siblings, in case this wasn't clear enough, she and 2 of her siblings find her dead on the ground, and they run a bunch of tests on her. Klaus uses his weird mind thingy to be like, yeah, this is definitely you, Allison. Sorry about that, you're fucking dead. And so they were like, what the hell is that? And then this dude starts bragging about how he killed the rumor, and it basically turns out that she had been, like, off, like wasn't she, like, dating someone?
She, like, snuck out of the house.
She, like, snuck out of the house, and then when people were like, where were you? She said she was at the library, and since she lied and said she wasn't actually at the library, but she said she was, it basically created another version of her that went to the library, because everything she says becomes true.
The one the guy murdered.
Yeah.
So she can kind of just do whatever she wants.
Yeah, like, like, in the show, they were stopping, like, a bank robbery, and she's like, I heard a rumor that you shot your friend in the foot, and then, one of the robbers shoots the other one in the foot, and then, again, in the free comic thing, she's just like, I heard that those rafters you're standing on are incredibly weak and give way every time someone, like, stands on them. And then the person standing on them just, like,
who
they
had
just
been
crumble.
standing on them for, like, a couple minutes at that point, it just suddenly just collapsed.
And then she fucking dies anyway.
So literally, it's not just, like, mind control. That's certainly a thing she can do.
Yeah.
But she can just make anything she wants just be true, as long as she says, I heard a rumor.
Which not even she doesn't say I had a rumor all the time. She's just like, hey, I heard that, or like, or like, hey, doesn't that? It's like, because, I mean, like, when she lies about her being in the library, she's not going to be like, I heard a rumor that I was in the library, because then everyone would be like, stop right there.
Stop that.
So it's just whenever she says something, and I'm assuming that
she has to, like, will it or something.
Yeah, but it's like,
we've disturbed a cat.
Oh, sorry. So it's like, she's just the most overpowered bitch, because she can just bend reality. She can just do whatever she wants, ever.
I'm pretty sure in the comic she's about to just end the whole apocalypse thing, and that's why Vanya slit her throat open, because she was like, no!
Yeah.
In the show, it was like an accident. In the comics, it was very intentional to be like, no.
Yeah, in the comics, she very much intended to slit Allison's throat open because she was going to use her reality-bending powers to end the apocalypse. So, yeah. She's really overpowered. Good thing she doesn't use her powers that much. Or there's some sort of limitation they put in the show, but not in the comics. In the comics, she can just do whatever the hell she wants. I mean, that's how it is. She's also very soft in the show, though.
Yeah, we didn't really get to see much of how she acted in the comics.
She kind of just acted a little bit jaded.
Which is fair enough.
Which is valid. All of the thing about the comics is that all of them said some kind of, like, dickish things, except Klaus. Klaus was just chilling.
He was just kind of there,
Yeah, but, like, most of them said something, like, real shitty at least once, and you just kind of gotta be, like, yeah, that's valid, because they're all just really fucked up. They just got fucked up.
What do they emphasize in the show? Even more so. Actually, well, it's pretty obvious in the comic, too. But again, the breakneck pacing, like, backstory and stuff tends to be, like, a little less in it. Because they're, like, plot must go forward at 15 million miles per hour.
Yeah, but in the show, she's very soft. It's very clear she doesn't really want to hurt anybody ever.
Yeah.
She just wants everyone to get along. She's, like, nice to, like, everyone.
Yeah, she gets along. One thing that I noticed was that she kind of gets along at least, like, most of the time with her siblings. Because it's like everyone else, like, had, like, major ups and downs where they were like, hey, we get along, and it's like, don't even believe in my direction, you piece of garbage. So, like, she just kind of stood on, like, relatively, like, shaky, kind of like, yeah, we're cool, right? Yeah. With all of them.
Yeah, and she's fucked up a lot, like, there was a whole thing with her daughter, and then she, like, kind of fucked up with Vanya a couple of times, but she never meant to,
She always apologized.
She always had very pure intentions, and you can tell that she never wanted to, like, that she's very kind of ashamed of stuff that she's done in the past and just wants to be a nice person.
She always apologized, which, like, none of the other siblings ever apologized to any of the other siblings about anything they ever said or did. Which, to be fair, is kind of a thing that happens when you're siblings. You don't really, though, it tends to be, like, less serious. If your siblings also tend to fight over petty shit, where you can, like, after your argument, come back 20 minutes later just presuming you've been forgiven. So, like...
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's you do kind of have to apologize when you do some things that these freaks trying to get away with.
But they never do. She's the only one that does. So, you know.
That's nice of her, I guess.
Mm-hmm. She looks way different.
Yeah, she, like, has pretty similar, like, personality.
Yeah, her personality's pretty similar, but in the comics she has short blue hair and she's also real pasty. And then
They're all real pasty.
They're all real pasty. Claus in particular is
he's just
white.
He's
just a grayish corpse-like tint. But yeah, she's real pasty, and then in, you know, the show she's black, and
she's definitely not pasty.
She's definitely not pasty, and then she has, like, really long hair. I would have liked to see her with, like, short hair that's just vivid blue.
I think they should have kept that. That was a strong look.
It was a strong look. Maybe, like, a darker blue.
True.
Would, like, work with her aesthetic.
Maybe just,
more,
like, blue, like, streaks or something.
Yeah, you know.
The dyed hair was an aesthetic, and they should have kept it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm thinking, she's a very stylish person, and I'm thinking maybe if she had, like, electric blue hair, that might, you know, not really be, like, her style in the show, but, like, definitely, like, a deep blue, or, like, just blue parts in her hair.
They should do that at some point in the future, because, like, the blue hair was a strong look.
It really was. But, yeah, she seems real rad.
I'm bored with the increased diversity, though. Makes a lot of sense, considering they, like, dragged them from all over the world.
Yeah, that's another thing. You know, I mean, in the comic, it's, like, it's a lot harder to tell people's ethnicities in, like, drawings, usually.
Yeah.
Unless it's, like, very obvious, like, this person is definitely black, or something like that, but, like...
Because, like, sometimes the art style... Because, like, the only way you really have to tell is, like, colors, and sometimes certain art styles, like, do certain things with color that make it, like...
Yeah, especially, I think, in comics, because they tend to have very unique art styles and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe they were more diverse in the comic than it seemed like they were, but I really like in the show how they made them all very, like, you know, diverse.
Because it makes sense.
Like, they're from all over the world, and, you know, there's just a lot of...
And while it makes sense that, like, maybe, since he lives in, like, America, I guess, it makes sense that, like, maybe most of them would have been from more, like, that kind of area, because they would have been, like, easier for him to, like, find and adopt, because, like...
But, like, one of them was
from other countries can be a complicated process, I've heard.
Yeah, but, like, one of them was from Russia.
Yeah.
I don't know which one, but one of them was.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like that.
Increased diversity is always a good thing.
Hell yeah, boy. Also, thing about Allison, the thing with her and Luther is real whack, and I don't want to talk about it other than to say that it's really whack.
Uncomfortable.
I mean, I guess it's not as bad as it could have been, because they're not blood-related, but it's still not good. Why?
It could get worse.
Learn
that one scene
how to act.
There's that one scene, like, where they were, like, dancing. That scene was really pretty.
Yeah, it was.
Though they could have had that without the weird shit, you know? They could
have, or, like, that scene where they were, like, in that, like, fort that they were in as kids. And, you know,
like,
that was very wholesome.
Like, you
they didn't have to be making it weird like that.
Like, you know, yeah, those scenes, like, you could have those same scenes and just, like, and, like, not have it be weird. Like, you know, you can platonically dance with people, especially when you think the world's about to fucking end. You can...
Yeah.
Like, those things could be platonic. You just gotta make it weird, I guess. Why did they do that?
Gerard, why?
This is the one thing you're not good at, I guess.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure he knows it's fucked up and it's probably just further enhancement of the fact that they're all very fucked up people. But it's like, why? Why you be doing this?
This is not necessary.
Please stop it immediately.
It bothers a lot of people way more than it bothers me. Because I kind of just, like, forget about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, most of the interactions are just, like, normal.
Yeah.
Like, friends/siblings kind of stuff, so I just forget about it, and then occasionally I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a weird thing that they do. That was a weird mistake.
Yeah, really, just, I want to know why he thought that was a good plan. Anyway, just, like, stop that, you know? Leave room for Jesus and also morality. Just, like, stop immediately.
Anyway,
Anything
else to say about Allison?
No, we pretty much covered it.
Cool, now up is number 4.
Also known as Klaus, also known as The Seance. Not
The-
Seance. The Seance.
Which is significantly worse.
It really, honestly.
Seance is much better, much more natural sounding.
Yes. So, the thing about Klaus is that he
he's-
was my favorite from the very first panel I saw him in the comic. Because he
Technically,
literally
wasn't even the
rolls
first
up-
panel you saw him in, because he was like, well, he had to finish the very first thing he said.
I, like, saw him and I was like, this bitch emo, good. And then the first thing he says is, you know why I love funerals? Everything I own is black. And he's wearing, like, a trench coat, and he's flying. He's just floating. He's
floats
barefoot. He's pale as hell. He's got a suitcase, smug-ass look on his face, and I'm like,
He's
he's the best
if
one.
you've only seen the show, he floats in the because in the comic he has telekinesis.
I don't think I ever saw him touch the ground.
He
I don't
touched
think
the ground like twice, maybe.
Yeah. He just doesn't, he just floats. I mean, even if he's like even in the funeral, he wasn't touching the ground. He wasn't even like floating next to the coffin. He was sitting on top of Ben's statue. Just like 4 feet away. He doesn't give a fuck, and it's so great.
It really added to his chaotic energy,
It
though I
really
understand why they didn't do that in the show, because that probably would have been way too expensive to just have him float around everywhere.
I also understand why they didn't have him barefoot all the time, because that would just be mean to Robert. Because, I mean, there's a lot of rubble on the ground in that show.
Yeah. Anyway, he was our favorite in the comics. And guess what? He's still our favorite now.
It only cemented my undying
made
love
him
for him.
More favorite. Now he's like favorite square.
Yes. He is an emo-ass motherfucker, and I love him.
He's like chic, emo, train wreck, man.
Yes. He is high as a kite all of the time. Total disaster. Needs help, a hug, about 10 more brain cells. Because he's only got one and he shares it with Ben the whole show.
Ben has it most of the time.
Yes. We stand gender nonconformity. He's wearing eyeliner the whole time.
And
He
like
wears
eyeshadow.
He wears a skirt. He's got painted nails in both the show and the comic.
It's just
His
great.
nails are black in the comic.
Great. Everything about it is great. He was in the show much more than he was in Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Suite.
like in Apocalypse Suite, he was kind of just chilling.
He didn't really do a whole lot. He was
just kind of
He
there.
like came through right at the end on the
He
Apocalypse.
really came through right at the end, more than even he thought he could come through.
He basically saved the whole world right there.
But that was the only thing he did other than sit there and just be in it for the bands and just be
Make, like,
marvelous.
sassy remarks in the background.
Talk about how every time he closes his eyes, all he sees is centipedes because he only has eaten drugs for the past 3 days.
Eats drugs. What the fuck, Klaus?
He literally said eat. He said
eat, yes.
He said eat.
It wasn't even like weed or something that people do actually. It was like speed. I don't even know what that drug is.
I think it's LSD.
Is it?
I don't know though.
We don't do drugs.
I think it's definitely more of a hard drug than weed though. But he's there. He's having a
But
good
now
time.
he's actually, like, got a place in the plot and more than just the end.
And character development. I love his character development.
He had such a good character.
He's got such good character development.
Like, he starts trying to actually get his life together in the most basic capacity.
I know. And he's always so, like, crazy and offensive and just weird and, like, crass and just horrible all the time. But he's also so soft sometimes.
Like once he started to get off the drugs 24, like, he started to not be on drugs 24/7, he got a lot more soft.
Like, he's still a crazy-ass bitch. That doesn't have anything to do with the drugs. The drugs just stop him from seeing dead people, and that's, like, the only thing they do.
That made me kind of happy that was, like, not just the fact that he was high all the time, but it's just who he is.
It's just how he is.
It's just who
but
he is.
But then he's just so much softer when he's sober, and I'm like, my son.
Listen, I love, like, an asshole character as much as, like, the next person, but I will always take, like, a soft one over that.
The best characters are when they're both an asshole and soft simultaneously, and both Klaus and Diego are that, so good on you. Gerard, good on you, whoever the fuck made the TV show, like, adapted it for the TV. I don't remember your name, but you did a good job. Apparently the actor for him, whose name is Robert Sheehan, has just been typecast as a crazy junkie who was somehow trusted with superpowers, because one of his other, like, major role in the thing was in something called Misfits, which I've never seen, but apparently he was in jail, because he's wearing an orange jumpsuit and all the things that I've seen. And he's also just a crazy drug addict who has superpowers. So, I mean, you know, didn't know you could get typecast as that, but he's done it.
He's managed that.
Yeah.
He's great at it.
He's very great. He's a really good actor. I was really thrown off by how, like, Scottish or Irish he is. I can't tell the difference between those two accents. I'm so sorry. But he's one of them. And it's very strong, and he hit it very well, so I was very thrown off when I was, like, watching an interview with him in it, and he was just talking, and I was like, what the fuck? But yeah,
good.
He's our favorite. Absolute disaster.
His powers are pretty cool.
I love his powers.
Kind of seems like they suck to live with, though.
Yeah, because it's like, well, the big thing is that he can talk to the dead, and, you know, he was locked in a mausoleum for a while, which honestly
that doesn't really have any direct.
Fuck you, Harley.
Doesn't really have any direct correlation to his powers, though. Like,
yeah,
there was no real reason to do that to him.
Yeah, but you know, like, he has like two things that give him like the angst in it, and one is the plot line with Dave, and like honestly, making Klaus a Vietnam veteran was not not a plot point that I saw coming.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah, so
but it was a thing that happened.
Yeah, so there's that and Dave, and that's angst, and then there's also just the fact that for, you know, like 13 years or so, he just took drugs all the time because it was the only way to stop seeing dead people, and it was driving him crazy, and it was obviously very upsetting for him.
Yeah. It seems like it's like talking to the dead seems like a really cool thing to be able to do, especially when like your brother died.
Yeah.
At like a young age, so it seems like, yeah, that'd be rad, but then it's like they have to throw in the fact that it's like constant.
And
like
horrible.
He can't turn it off, and I guess dead people are just always screaming.
Yeah, and then in the show, he can also kind of like conjure dead people and like, you know, like make them physically manifest temporarily, which really came in clutch in the last episode. And then in the comic, he has telekinesis, and I guess also can like conjure, like be like possessed by people. I guess
he can channel them, or at least was able to convince Vanya that he could for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it seems like if that wasn't something he could actually do...
They
And also that it wasn't like when people like, wait, so you want Hargreaves? He wasn't like, no, I can't do that. He was just like, no, you think that stubborn ass bitch would let me channel him?
Yeah, I guess that is just a thing he can do.
Yeah, I hope they put that in the show later on. I want to see
If you don't know what we're talking about, and again, don't care about spoilers, obviously, since you're here, the end of the comic, he, air quotes, channeled Hargreaves to, like,
basically tell off Vanya and make her feel really, like, dumb and childish for trying to end the world.
And then, like, after it, like, worked, at least, for, like, a little bit.
Yeah.
He, like, was just, he was just like, wow, I didn't think that was gonna work. I thought I totally blew it when I said big deal. And they were like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, I was pretending. You think that stubborn old corpse would let me channel him?
Yeah, also, fun thing that he said in the comics, like, he, like, rolls up to the funeral, and then, like, Luther and Allison were like, oh, great, you're here. And then he was like, I have a bone to pick with the old corpse for cutting off my allowance. And then he just leaves. And then I guess, you know, at that point, Luther had already called him the Seance, so you could probably piece together what the fuck was happening there, but also if you didn't, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, this is probably why Luther called him Seance instead of his fucking name, because they were like, we gotta make sure people aren't confused as all fuck on. He's like, I'm just gonna go talk to a dead father real quick.
Well, also, Luther hardly ever called anyone by, like, their, like, regular names. Because that was part of, like, his thing was that he, like, really, like, he refused to just be, like, a person and try to, like, move on. Like, he wanted to be number one. He wanted to keep doing missions. He was, like, very loyal to his dad.
Which seems to have kind of carried into the
show.
It
did carry over into the show. But then, like, just you know, so,
he
like...
still called them by their names, though, so
yeah.
it was obvious.
So, like, part of the way that they reflected that he was still very caught up in, like, the Umbrella Academy while everyone else had moved on was that they all referred to each other pretty much exclusively by their, like, you know, the names that their mom gave them, but then he pretty much exclusively referred to everybody by their superhero names.
Yeah.
Anyway, Klaus is great. Love him. Love his chaotic energy. Love the angst and also the dumb shit that he says and does all of the time. I love his fashion choices. I love his character development. I love everything about him. I love his character design. Great acting. Did I ever tell you about the time I waxed my ass with chocolate pudding? How the hell do you even do that, Klaus? Chocolate pudding is not sticky.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He never said it worked. He just said he did it.
That's valid. Really came in clutch in the ending in both, more so in the comics, but also in the show. In the comics,
he, like, straight up, like...
just stopped the moon from crashing into the earth.
Yeah, again, he has, like, telekinesis. It wasn't implied that it was, like, that powerful or anything, but, like, at, like, the end when the moon parts came crashing down, he was just like, let me just...
But the thing was, is that his face, when the dust cleared, he was like, holy shit. Like, and so was everybody else. Like, he didn't even know he could do that. He just desperately was like, oh no, the moon's here. And then he just stopped it.
And he was
love his tattoos on his hands. It took me a really long time to realize that he did that because, like, Ouija board, because it says hello and goodbye.
Yeah,
Ouija board.
He was, like, lazy and didn't want to greet people. He was,
probably that, too.
He just wanted to be able to wave at them with a certain hand to, like, get the point across even stronger.
He probably does that, but also because he's a human Ouija board.
He did do that in the comics when he was, like, going on, like, the weird teleport elevator thing to, like, I guess go hunt down the various people for the counter orchestra.
Yeah.
Because in the comics, it wasn't just Vanya, it was like a whole apocalypse orchestra.
Yeah. Who were all crazy.
Yeah. He, like, was waving to them with his hand that said goodbye.
How long have we been doing this? Because we're still only on number 4. Oh, God! Oh god, the microphone's been peaking so much. Turn the sensitivity down a little bit.
That's
Okay.
better.
Oh, sorry for blasting out your eardrums for the past
And sorry
hour.
for already talking an hour to get like halfway through some
We
of
told
the
you we need to get our feelings out. Anyway, on to number 5.
You?
On to number 5, who is
I
AKA...
love him too.
Okay, yeah, number 5, aka 5, aka 5, because he doesn't have any other names.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
He's just number 5.
Yeah,
Love
I
him.
really love him. He's probably like my second favorite after
Yeah.
Klaus.
He's also the fandoms collectively, like, you know, you can like pretty much like I spent so much time on Tumblr just looking at the umbrella because I needed to like I needed to express how much I love this show somehow. Because I don't want to annoy my friends by like talking their ears off about it. So, so like basically the fandom's favorites, like the people who are most like, yeah, they're my favorite character. It's like Klaus 5, and then Diego's like 3rd.
Diego or Ben. A lot of people really
That's
love Ben.
true. They're probably like kind of pretty close to.
And then
tied.
everyone hates Luther. But yeah.
And then there's a small group of Allison stans and a small group of like Vanya stans.
Yes, this is true. But yeah, 5. First of all, who the fuck said that this bitch could be so goddamn good at acting? This dude, I don't know his last name. I know his first name is like Adrian, I think.
He's like
It's either Aiden or Adrian.
something
but
like that.
He can't even legally drive yet. He's 15. And he's probably one of the most skilled actors that I've just seen in general. Especially, like, young actors. Because a lot of actors that are, like, you know, in their teens, they're not that good yet. Because they're still learning. And then he's so good. He's so good. Like, who are you?
He's gonna be a force to be reckoned with when he's an adult.
Yeah.
Plus, he's like a Disney Channel actor. Like, he can't usually Disney.
Since when has a Disney Channel actor ever actually
did
had any
Disney
talent?
Yeah, where did Disney find an actually good actor?
I mean, Debbie Ryan's a good actor.
That's fair.
But she was also an adult Disney actor.
Not like a
What child Disney actors ever been actually good at anything?
Actually, a lot of them got good when they were like adults.
That's true.
But like,
But he's still a kid!
like, what child Disney actor is a good actor when they're still a child?
He's a sophomore in high school. He's 15.
He's younger than both of us.
He's younger than both of us, and he's so good at playing this, like,
58-year-old
this,
man.
like, badass, bitter-ass, 57-year-old bitch with an alcohol problem. And it's like, who, why, where did you come from?
Where did they find you?
Where did they find you? And I also think it's really funny, because, like, he was really excited to meet Gerard, because he likes My Chemical Romance. And then Gerard was really excited to meet him, because his daughter Bandit really likes the show that Adrian was on Disney Channel.
If his name's not Adrian, we're gonna be like annoying a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Adrian. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Now I'm gonna be sad if I mess it up. Hold on.
We could talk for like 10 minutes about how good your acting is, dude, but we don't know your name.
Yeah. It just be that way.
Seriously though, like how?
It's Aiden. Okay, but the reason I thought it was Adrian is because his Instagram is Aiden R. Gallagher, and I think I just saw the R and then just threw it in there. But his name is Aiden. It's Aiden. It's not Adrian. Oops.
Well,
anyway, he's really good.
Really good at acting.
And also, it's like I was looking at his Instagram after like Gerard tagged him in a post, and it's just like he's like an environmental advocate, a songwriter, a singer, a vegan, and he's like 15, and he's like basically got his whole life figured out. And I'm like, who are you?
He's living his best
He's
life.
living his best life, and honestly, we stand. Good for you, dude.
Anyway, on to the actual character that he plays.
Yes.
He has very rad powers.
He does.
Time travel and space teleporting. I don't know. I was gonna say space jumping because that's kind of what they call it.
It's teleportation.
He can teleport. Yeah.
He's basically a TARDIS.
He's basically a TARDIS.
Oof.
Anyway,
including the fact that he fucks up sometimes.
Stop.
Yeah, he's you know, this like bitter ass 57-year-old in love with a mannequin, likes a margarita.
57 years.
Yeah. He's very funny, angry, intelligent, rad.
He has all the brain cells.
Yeah. Family. To quote a Tumblr post that I saw, which pretty much just sums the show up, is like, all the Umbrella Academy kids have 7 brain cells between them. Ben took 1 when he died. 5 has at least 3 at all times. The rest of them have to take turns with the remaining 3, and Luther never gets a turn. That's pretty much how it goes. And he's just, you know, he's badassery at its finest, honestly. He's such a cool dude.
One of my favorite character tropes is like the like, what was this
Unassuming.
Yeah, the unassuming badass.
Yes. Like, cause
that's him, and I love it so much.
In the comic, he's 10. In the show, he's 13. Which, honestly, respect to them. If they tried to get a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old to play him, it would not have gone nearly as well. So it's
I'm
much
glad
better.
They just found a 15-year-old prodigy who can kind of pass for 13.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, that's a valid change. But he's 13, can kill a room full of people with, like, a butter knife in his bare hands. Was an assassin for a while. And then, you know, he's just really great at fighting. He is, like, probably the most useful character in the show. Mostly because he was the one that was like, hey, the apocalypse is happening and I have a lead on what to do. And then also because every other character kept just fucking forgetting that the apocalypse was happening, I guess. Because they always kept getting distracted with other shit that wasn't nearly as important. And then 5 was the one that was like, let it up, bitches! We got things that need to be done!
Yeah, he had some great lines. Like, that's a badass stapler. And, like... he's great. He has some of the best fight scenes.
Istanbul, not Constantinople. Istanbul, not Constantinople.
The fight scene in the donut shop. Literally one of like the best things I've ever seen in.
It's just
any TV show.
I just love him so much because he's by far the most serious character in the show, but yet he's also like constant, like comedy relief because no one takes him seriously because he's a 13-year-old and then he can just fuck their shit up on the spot.
It's great.
It's really great. I love him a lot, honestly. And
He's
then
so sarcastic.
Him and Klaus interacting is something that, upon reading the comics, I didn't realize I needed as desperately as I did.
But they're
great.
Are the best duo.
They both have such great lines, honestly,
and they're so they're such opposites.
They have. I saw another post that was just like both 5 and Klaus are chaotic neutral energies, but on like opposite ends of a spectrum. Like he's like a distinguished chaotic neutral, and then Klaus is just disaster chaotic neutral, and that's the difference.
It's beautiful, wonderful.
It's so good. It's so good.
so cool.
I'm excited to get to, like, the part of the comics where his work with the Commission is put into it, because I think that adds a lot to his character, explains some things about just how he is as a person. It was very interesting to see that unfold in the show, especially because I didn't know about it, because, again, we haven't read Hotel Oblivion yet. So
it was like a thing where we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. So it was very interesting. And yeah, he's probably my second favorite.
Successfully made me sad with the whole Alone in the Apocalypse for like 40 years thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. Because another thing about how good of an actor he is. It's like, most of the time throughout the show, you know, he's like 15, so obviously he looks really young, but like when you watching him, you don't think of him as like a young person playing someone who's way older. You think of him as the age that he is in the show because he's so good at like, acting like this like battle-worn, bitter man. But then when he's actually 13 in the show and like the flashbacks, he's so good at seeming way younger. Even though he doesn't look any different, but just the way he can make his facial expressions look when he's 13 versus when he's 57. Like when he, like in the, what is it, the third episode, second episode? I think it's second episode when they show him getting... Yeah, Run Boy Run. It's like, when he gets stuck in the future and then he can just see like his home burning down in front of him and he sees like, you know... and then, you know, like, he sees, like, his family dead and stuff. He just looks so much younger than he does for the rest of the show.
So impressive. I've never, like, I hardly ever notice when actors are, like, really good at acting until someone else points it out that I'm like, oh yeah, but I was, like, watching the show and I was like... Whoever plays a 5 is, like, damn good at acting.
Yeah, because it's like, when someone's a good actor...
was older. Like, I didn't think he was 15. I thought he was kind of like Tom Holland, who's, like, a young adult, and he's just baby-faced,
yeah,
so he can pass as, like, a teenager.
If I was gonna judge how old he looked, I was gonna say, like, 15, but I thought he was gonna be, like, at least 18, and they just found someone who just looks like a child still. But no, he's actually 15, and it's just... completely whack, because it's like normally it's like it's really obvious when an actor is a bad actor because it pulls you right out of it, but when an actor is a good actor, you normally don't sit around thinking, wow, they're a really good actor, because, or at least I don't, because I'm just like, their character's very believable, so I'm just like, yep, that's their character. But
his character is very, very believable, but I was just like,
but there would just be random times where I'd be like, holy shit, this dude's so good. How is he this good at How is he this good at
he,
this?
Like, keeps up
Where did they find you?
Thing. He's gonna have, like, 17 Oscars by the time he retires, if not more, because, like, god damn. Leave the boy alone.
No, I want to pick up the boy. Anyway.
There are a lot of good actors in this show.
Yeah, all of the actors, I think all of the actors are very good, but I think he sticks out the most as just like, what the fuck are you? Mostly because it's like, you know, I've been 15. I've seen a lot of 15-year-olds in, like, school plays and movies and TV shows, and this bitch smokes all of them.
He probably got a lot of roles in his school plays.
Yeah, probably.
Just to make everyone else look like they suck by comparison.
That would probably be so unfair. Now I'm just imagining like him like trying out for like his high school play and then having like a PTA parent complain because it's like you can't let the professional actor be in the school play. You're making everyone else look bad. Anyway. He's very good, and 5 is a very awesome character. We stan. Now number 6, whose name is Ben, also known as the Horror, which is pretty accurate.
And he's super dead.
Because he's not alive, you guessed it, boy.
Which means he can only interact with Klaus.
He is only present in the show through flashbacks and then through interacting with Klaus. And I think it's interesting because it's like, Klaus established that, like, he doesn't see, like, he can't really see dead people if he's high, which is why he's high. But he sees Ben. And then there's also people wondering, like, how long it took for Ben to kind of be like, hello, I am here. Because it's like, did it take them until they were, like, adults? Or was it, like, they were sitting at Ben's funeral and then Klaus was just, like...
sitting there awkwardly with the Ben next to him.
Ben, like, standing next to them, judging the flower arrangements, and then Klaus is just like, anyway.
Well, he had to have died when they were adults, because he's an adult.
The statue of him has him as a kid, though. But I guess... Well, no, because when they showed the portraits of them, like, it changing because Five left and then Ben died, it was like they were older, but they were still, like, kids.
So, but, like, you don't age when you're dead.
Presumably, yeah, but that's another thing that people are talking about, is that they're trying to figure out what the timeline of it was, because it seemed like they weren't, like, he obviously died a while ago, but he's the same age as everybody else.
Yeah.
It's weird. But anyway, he's cool. I'm glad we actually get to see him. Because you didn't see him at all in the comic.
Other than, he was, like, in the background in, like, flashbacks and in the Free Comic Day.
But he didn't really do anything. He was just kind of, like, holding a sea monster.
The Free Comic Book Day one took place, like, before the main story starts, when they were all still... When they were, like... Either,
in
like...
their prime.
They were either, like... They looked the same as they did when they were adults, but they might have just been, like, in their late teens or whatever. Mm-hmm. When they were, like... But they
or, like, they were about, like, 30 in, like, the comic and the show, so they might have been, like, early 20s at that point.
They were young adults, so, like, in their late teens, and they were still part of the Umbrella. Well, they cleared out, like, in the show they established that they all, like, just yeeted out of there as soon as they could, which can't blame them for that.
That's true. But anyway, yeah, like, we never really got to see much of him, but we do in the show, and he is great. Honestly. Ben. He, like, well, one, he really fucks shit up at the end. We stan. He was really coming in clutch there. And then, like, he's just very, like, witty and
sarcastic, and Klaus would probably be, like, fucking dead if you didn't.
Yeah, he is.
They're like, stop.
He is. In what I like to say is he's Klaus's one brain cell, but in a more serious analytical thing, he serves as Klaus's conscience. So, like, he tries to make him do the right thing, helps him reach his full potential, wants to make him stay sober, stuff like that. So he basically is just all of Klaus's, like, impulse control, and it doesn't work all the time, but he's trying. And, he's soft, but bitterly sarcastic.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be like... I wasn't expecting the sarcasm, because in the comics and, like, the little bits they showed of him, he seemed very soft. Mm-hmm. Like, and, like, he was just in the background, like, cuddling a sea monster or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is... I think his name being the horror is supposed to be, like, heavily ironic.
Well, it's because he has this weird tentacle demon thing that pops out of his chest.
Obviously.
But then he himself is a very soft boy.
Yeah, it's ironic.
Yeah. Which, explains why the thing on... There's, like, the engraving on, like, his statue was, "May the darkness within you find peace inside the light." And I'm like, damn. That's real deep. Mm-hmm. He just keeps yelling at Klaus to eat some eggs or something for goddamn once.
Like cocaine.
Drink orange juice instead of heroin just this once, please.
He doesn't really irritated by Klaus all the time.
Yeah. And the dynamic between them is really awesome. Like, just some of the great interactions are just shit like, they're like, why don't you start your day with some eggs, maybe a glass of orange juice, and then Klaus is just like, you can't smoke eggs, and then Ben just like dissociates on the spot. Or like, Klaus is just like, oh, I don't know anything, and then Ben's like, liar, and then Klaus is like, drop dead, and then Ben just whips his head around and is like, low blow. Or like when Klaus stole that goddamn ice cream machine, he's driving it like a maniac, and Ben
Why do you
just...
keep calling it an ice cream machine? You've called it an ice cream machine like every conversation we had.
Because
you can't drive an ice cream machine.
It rolls off the tongue better. Because it rhymes. Ice cream truck. And then Ben is like sitting there partially obstructing Klaus's vision, so I'm sure that was helping. And then it's just like, wee!
It's like the one time Klaus had the brain cell they both share.
They share one brain cell, and that was the one time when Klaus had a turn with it. But he's just really great. I can't wait to see more of him. I think he's pretty good, like, comic relief, but then also, like, has some serious moments where he's basically just telling Klaus to stop fucking up his life, which he desperately needs, so, yeah.
He desperately needed someone to tell him to do that, and eventually he listened.
Yeah.
Mainly because he just wanted to be able to use his powers for once.
Yeah.
But, like...
We stand.
It still is. He got there in the end.
That's what matters. Anyway, Vanya, number 7, doesn't have a superhero name.
Well, the white violin.
Oh, yeah. Oops. She is way more sympathetic in the show. Yeah, in the comic, Diego says one mean thing to her, and then she's like, well, guess everyone will die now.
Yeah, imagine, like, okay, if you've seen, that one scene after Hazel and Trasha attack the house, like, for those of you who haven't read the comic, where Diego is like, you could have gotten killed, or you could have gotten us killed, you're a liability. It's basically just that. That was the one interaction she had with any of her siblings, and she was like, well, guess I'll just cause the apocalypse. And she's kind of, like, down for murder,
It's like...
It didn't take much.
One of her siblings said one mean thing to her, and she was like, cool, I'll kill everyone. And then in the show, it was like, she went through years of childhood trauma and feeling excluded.
Well, she had that in the show, in the comic, too, but, like,
true.
technically they all had that, so, like...
Yeah.
That excuse doesn't really work very well.
She was constantly being disrespected by her dad and her siblings. She was estranged from her family. She almost died like 4 times. She lost her medication. She was being emotionally manipulated by the one guy she was in love with. She felt betrayed by her sister and then locked in a cage for a couple of hours. And then she decided to end the world. Still not good, but much more understandable, and they made her much kinder and much more, like, misunderstood and soft and, like, not wanting to hurt people.
I hope she gets a redemption arc, because she did live.
In both the comic and the show.
Yeah, so she...
Even though 5 shot her in the head in the comic, she still lived.
He either knew what he was doing when he did that, or... Vanya just got real lucky.
Yeah.
She deserved better, even if she did try to cause the apocalypse and the death of all humanity. Which was a bit of an even though she's been through some shit, still a bit of an overreaction. Though it's also unclear whether she actually made, like, the conscious choice, I'm going to end the world, if it just sort of happened.
Yeah, that's true. And then in
the comic, it was very clearly, like, he was like, I'm going to end the world now.
Yeah, like, it was like, she got a call asking to try out for an orchestra. She tried out, and they were like, yes, we are an orchestra that is going to end the world. Won't it be beautiful? And she was like, you people are crazy. And then she said, like, Diego said one mean thing to her, and then she was just like, fine.
What were you saying about the apocalypse?
I'm down to kill. It was like, alright, cool.
So...
Ellen Page was very good as Vanya. I think it works for her aesthetic very well. And, I just think she's a lot better of a person in the show.
Yeah.
Because she actually, seemed like she cared about anything.
People. Vaguely.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So moving on.
Yes. Moving on
I really hate how you always have to say hello when you start the recording back up, even though we could just move on and no one would even notice that we stopped recording for a while.
Yeah.
You're a fool.
We took a short intermission.
Anyway, on to other characters. We've got a couple of other, like more minor characters. Yeah.
Who we have some opinions on.
I mean, I like Grace, who is their mom and who is also a robot.
Yes.
I think
Mom.
Yes, I think the scenes that she had with Diego were very strong.
A lot
really
of emotion.
hitting you in the feels.
A lot of this show likes to crush your feelings.
Yep. She deserves better. She a little bit creepy, but mostly great.
Yeah, she's a little unsettling because she's a robot.
Yeah.
But, she's... I'm glad they had at least one parent, kind of.
Who gave a minimal shit.
Gave them some form of affection.
Yes, she was very kind.
I liked the whole
better.
kind of crisis that it was mainly Diego was having about her, because, he really loved her, but, about her just kind of being a robot who was just, programmed to act like that, so it, wasn't really real, and then it kind of resolved with him being it is real, because she, did some things that she probably wouldn't have been, programmed to do.
Yeah.
She was I want to leave the house and go to a park now.
Yeah.
He was if he wanted her to stay here all the time, he wouldn't have programmed that into her, so...
Unless he just wanted to be a huge dick. But he probably
Which honestly would not put it past him.
But probably he just didn't program that. But yeah. Speaking of Hargreaves, he can fucking choke. Moving on.
He can choke.
He's garbage.
He is already dead. He can go die again.
Grace watched him die, and I don't blame her.
Literally, basically, probably everyone other than Luther probably would have just stood there and watched him die.
He
suffer a bit.
He can choke, so can Leonard. Fuck Leonard.
Leonard's pretty shit, too. He's a bitch. He was more of a character than he was in the comic, and by that I mean he didn't really exist in the comic. He just replaced a character who had, the same kind of role of making Vanya the white violin.
But instead of being a really crazy skull head looking ass conductor who gets chopped in half after, being in 4 panels, he was an actual person and had a motivation other than just, won't it be so cool if we destroy everything?
Yeah, the guy in the comic was just kind of it's kind of I want to cause the apocalypse. Why? Because I feel like it. But he also was but Leonard was also kind of worse, because in the comics, the dude just kind of waited for Vanya. He called her and was want to audition for the orchestra? She was sure. Then he was Apocalypse Orchestra, and then she was no. And then as we discussed, Diego said one mean thing to her, and then she was anyway, Apocalypse. And then he did some weird science stuff to turn her into the white violin. And it was painful or something, so she fucking murdered him.
Yeah. But he waited for her to come back. It wasn't Leonard who just, made her, who just, gave her affection because she never got any, made her fall in love with him, and then was just anyway, evil. He was very upfront about his intentions in the comic from the very beginning.
They're both murderous freaks, but at least the conductor from the comics wasn't a bitch-ass liar.
Yeah, But though I am glad that he didn't get chopped in half in the TV show, because I really wasn't
He
down to
deserved
see
it,
that.
but I didn't really want to see that, yeah.
I just didn't, like, just clean cut down the middle.
Just
Perfect vertical line. Like, I didn't need to be seeing that, and I'm glad I didn't have to. But yeah, fuck Leonard. Moving on. Pogo was lit. Wasn't in it very much.
No, he wasn't very much
He was,
in the comic.
he was just kind of there. Probably very confusing for people who were not familiar with the comic.
They never explained it.
They never explained why there's just a talking monkey in a suit, but he was there.
Monkey butler.
Monkey butler, yep.
They kind of, they don't explain it, like, in depth. They just kind of, like, Hargreaves did some experiments to make monkeys more intelligent, and the Pogo was one of them. And they have, like, a couple, like, background characters who are, like, monkeys.
Yeah.
Didn't do that in the show. In the show, they were just like, monkey, just take it.
Just
Don't question it.
We don't even, like, bring it up, really. He has one
no
line.
one mentions it.
He might as well have just been a human, except for that one line when he tells Luther that his blood's more compatible with his, and that is really the only mention they make to the fact that he is a monkey, other than the fact that he's, like, he looks like a monkey.
Yeah.
They
A lot of
just
people don't like
speak
Pogo.
about it.
Because it kind of was just, like, chill with Hargreaves, fucking up all of his children.
That's valid. But I personally like him. I think he's kind of like Luther in a way where he feels like that, like, Hargreaves did what he felt like he had to do. And it sucks, but that's just what he thought was best.
I like how most of the characters other than Luther, like, aren't taking that bullshit.
Yeah.
As, especially with, like, the more emotional forms of child abuse, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's like, people tend to be like, well, maybe they were just, like, trying their best. I like how everyone else was like, no.
Yeah, it's like Pogo was literally like, he loved you just in his own way, and then they were all like, fucking bullshit. That man can choke.
Roger was literally just like, yeah, let's look at how that turned out. And then, like, Diego was just like, he's a bad person. And a worse father. And he was garbage in every way. And then Klaus also kind of had that, well, look how that turned out kind of thing when he's directly talking to Hargreaves after he was dead.
And he was like, I was trying to foster your potential. And he was just like, no, you were an ass.
Fuck off.
Anyway.
Hargreaves is the worst. And again,
True.
he can just fucking burn.
Yeah. And then, Hazel and Cha-Cha.
Yeah, moving on to, like, people we don't hate.
I like them a lot.
Yeah, they're kind of like, the quirky, fun, villain kind of characters, which I like those kinds of characters.
I hope they're in the comics.
They are.
Cool.
I know
I'm
for a
down.
fact that they are. I've seen, like, pictures of them in, like, their masks.
Can't wait for that. Their dynamic is great as, like, the goofy villains. You just kind of bant with each other and just kind of, like, kill people and then, like, don't really talk about it. So it's like you almost, like, kind of glance over it. But then, like, Hazel gets, character development, so it highlights, like, Cha-Cha's shitness.
Yeah, it's like, as it went on, I liked Hazel more and more, and I liked Cha-Cha less and less, because, like, nothing about Cha-Cha really changed.
Yeah.
It was just because, like, I mean, she got, like, a little more... No, she really didn't change at all.
No.
There were a couple more... There was just, like, the endearing banter kind of went away, and, like... It was just kind of the murder was all that was left, and you were like, ah.
You were like, oh, right, she's actually a monster. And then it was like, oh, and so was Hazel, but at least he's doing better. They're both pretty badass. I mean, like, when Hazel just threw Cha-Cha out of the windshield of his car, and then just hit it in reverse and drove away like that shit was nothing. I was like, oh my god. Iconic. And then him and Agnes is pretty cute.
That's adorable.
Very soft.
Agnes, like, wasn't really... She was technically in the comics, but she was just in that one show to, like... Scene? Not show. Yeah. Scene to, like, recap, to, like, tell the police what happened when a bunch of people got murdered at The donut shop.
Yeah.
Because they didn't actually show it in the comics, did they?
They just skipped ahead to, like, the waitress talking about it, and then it was really funny because she was just like, and then he threw money on the counter instead, and then you flip the page, and then it has the name of the next comic issue, which was Thank You for the Coffee.
I wish they had kept the names.
Yeah.
They did for the first episode. The first issue of the comic was called We Only See Each Other at Weddings and Funerals.
Yeah.
Which was the name of the first episode. And I know there were less issues than there were episodes.
Yeah.
So, like, I get that, like, some of it, they should have kept more than just that first one.
Yeah, they could have made the last one finale still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
But
day
anyway.
the Eiffel Tower went berserk wouldn't have worked for any of them.
Yeah, I feel like that's another reason why they probably didn't do it, because it's, like, the pacing of the show so different from the comics, and then, like, they changed some things, so it's like, you know, because, like, they had the coffee, like, shop thing in the first episode, so it'd be like, they couldn't call another episode Thank You for the Coffee.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make any sense. But anyway, they're cool. And then the only other side character I've written down is Dolores. Who is she a character?
She's
Probably
more of a
not.
prop,
She's
but
more of an object.
that's kind of there.
Yeah.
Though 5 would probably stab you if you said that. So.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was really confusing to anyone who had only watched the show, that he was just in love with a mannequin. And I know that for a fact, because it was really confusing when you read the comic, too. It was just kind of like, if you read the comic beforehand, you just kind of had already accepted it.
Yeah, because
So
it's like,
you weren't
even with
surprised.
the mannequin thing wasn't as big of a thing in the comic as it was in the show. It was more like he was, like, trying to find, like, the equation, and then there's just a speech bubble that's just like, you're an idiot. He's like, what? And you look behind, and then there's just a voice bubble coming from a mannequin that just says, you forgot to subtract the 2 from the 1, like, 12 years ago. And then he just figures it out and then steps into a wormhole and just goes, goodbye, my love. And then she's never in it again. And so you're just like, oh, okay, I guess he just went crazy and had a mannequin wife, but then she's, like, in it a lot in the show.
She just kind of has it with it, and then somehow still made me sad when he, like, returned her to the department store, and I was just sitting there like, it's a goddamn mannequin, why am I sad?
I know. But then it was also, like, I mean, honestly, it's, like, real whack, but then it was also just, like, funny, you know? Because, like, he just, like, would carry her around with just make her a margarita and then put it in front of her. And then there was that one scene where Luther, like, almost dropped her out of a window to get for him to drop his fucking gun, and then he almost shot Luther. Like, he grabs her and holds her out the window, and then 5 just immediately takes his, like, assault rifle and it's just, like, points it directly at him with just no hesitation.
Was just sitting there like, I know she's very important to you, with, like, a tone and a look on his face. I was like, how did I get to this point in my life where I'm threatening my brother by holding a goddamn mannequin out the window? What happened?
Yeah. But moving right along, because we gotta get through this.
We don't got it.
Soundtrack fucking slaps.
I know.
Dude,
it's good.
Slaps so hard. I love the inappropriately timed, like, feel-good 80s music.
Like, inappropriately timed peppy songs and, like, serious scenes is one of my favorite tropes, and one I evidently don't get tired of, because they did it in almost, like, every episode.
They did it in every episode. They did it in every single episode. They had at least one ill-timed song, and it was great.
I loved it.
Wonderful.
I also like using less soundtracky music in, like, serious scenes, but not, like, you know, like, haha, peppy song, like, you know, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen playing in, like, a shootout scene. Like, the song fits, like, the mood they were going for, but, like, it's just, like, not the kind of song that would usually be on, like, a soundtrack, because usually they just do, like, orchestral.
Yeah.
Like, just instrumental stuff for that kind of scene. And I don't know, I feel like it makes it like more memorable, and it captures a lot of emotion, and I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it adds so much more to it. Like if if the donut shop scene didn't have that fucking Estem Bowl song.
Well, that
playing.
was one of the inappropriately timed ones. I'm talking more about like when Five ran away and they played like Run Boy Run.
Yeah.
Or like at the end of that episode when they were playing like what was it called, like Never Tear Us Apart.
Yeah.
Like
it's like that makes it so much more powerful. Like if they just had like regular like action music playing instead of Run Boy Run when Five's going into the future and like time traveling for the first time, it would be a lot less memorable. Or if when he's like discovering the corpses of his siblings in the apocalypse, it's like if it didn't have that song playing, it just had like, you know, like normal just like sad dramatic music playing, it wouldn't be nearly as impactful, I think. And it really works with the aesthetic of the show because, as we said, it's really fucking weird. So they can pull that off.
I don't know, I like that. That's the thing that I appreciate.
Yeah. Also, Gerard's covers. That he did two covers for this soundtrack. Slap. Both of them slap.
You know, Hazy Shade of Winter, which I guess is basically its theme song. It didn't have a theme song because it was like just had title cards.
Yeah.
But like, I guess it was in the trailer and it's at the end of the credits.
Yeah.
So I guess it's sort of like its honorary theme song.
Yeah, and then if you look at like Happy Together was actually in the show and that was good, and then it's like if you just listen to the original versus the one that Gerard did, it fits the show so much better. I feel like he
like soft, acoustic.
Yeah, and then Gerard Way it's like it's like
so that part was way, but
yeah, but still, it's just very good. It fit the show very well. I see why I feel like maybe Gerard like wanted to use that song, but was like, this does not fit the aesthetic of the show, and then he was like, I'll fix it.
I really like the trailer. This is a bit of a tangent, but I'm like a kind of a nerd about trailers, just a little bit. And the trailer for the Umbrella Academy is so good. It gets the tone so well.
I'll walk downstairs to watch Netflix with her, and she'll just be watching the trailer.
It's a good trailer! It's like, and like the song, which is Hazy Shade of Winter, looks really good, and it's like in the part, like they played at the beginning and at the end, like as like the primary sound. But in like the middle where it's mostly like scenes and like dialogue and stuff, they put like little like snippets of it like in the background to make it feel more cohesive, and it's like a really good trailer.
Anyway, moving on.
Don't let me talk about the trailer for like half an hour.
Oh god, I think I've already talked about most of the stuff that I wrote about the plot.
I have something to mention. The day that wasn't and the day that was. Such a cool thing, such a cool way of showing the effect of time travel. Like just having an episode and then having someone time travel to the start of the episode and then like having that same episode again but like different now.
It's so good. And then I love how it was like the day that was kind of went like worse than the day that wasn't.
They were like the day that wasn't was like the good timeline. Like if things from like the day that wasn't had just kept going, the apocalypse probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And like everything would have been fun because like Vanya found the book.
Yeah.
And she would have been like, hey, Leonard, what the actual fuck? And, like...
Yeah, and then there was, you know, like, Klaus got to see Dave again and stuff, and then it just got, like, slightly worse. Like, because at the end of the day that was, everybody was pretty much just in their own, like, wallowing in their own sorrow, you know? But I do think that's really fucking cool. I love that so much. I also liked how they changed Vanya's story up.
Yeah, made her much more sympathetic.
Yeah, just kind of changed, you know, like how she became the white violin, how like Leonard was like a different
Leonard.
Leonard. and then, you know, like how the thing with Allison went down is very good. And then I already mentioned the whole making, like, the whole, like, Klaus is now a Vietnam. Shut the fuck up.
We've been talking for too long.
Klaus is now a Vietnam. That was not a hot take that I saw coming.
Wasn't something I thought they would do.
It supplied a sufficient amount of angst, though, and it kicked along his character development.
And
so.
also, like, the scene where he, like, came back was, like, really good. Very well good acting. Because, like, it took me a second to realize, like, what was, like, off. Because, like, you had to tell me out loud that he had, like, clothes on now. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Like, he came back and he was wearing, like, you know, like an army vest. And he had tattoos and his hands were bloody. And he just looked so absolutely destroyed. And I was like, what happened to you?
I was confused because, like, my slow-ass brain process was like, I thought the blood might just be his blood.
Yeah.
Because, like, he was bleeding at the time. So I was like, my slow-ass brain, like, looked at him for, like, 35 seconds. And it was like, did he always have that tattoo? Took me like, then eventually I realized, I was like, also, why does he look really sad?
Yeah, and
like, I know he was
at
just,
first
like,
I thought it
tortured for, like, 10 hours, but that didn't seem to bother him, like, 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, and then it was like, when I first saw his bloody hands, I was just like, well, that's his blood, but then I realized that he was wearing a different outfit, and he wasn't bleeding anywhere else, even though he was before, and I was like, okay, something happened, and then he, like, gets off the bus, and just starts, like, fucking destroying that suitcase with just such uncontrollable rage, and then he just curls up on the ground crying, and I was like, what happened to you? What happened to you?
I know, I was like, but, like, that was such good acting, though, because it was like, he didn't, like, say anything that on a cat. I just saw his foot, like, reaching up the wall. But, like, because, like, he didn't say anything that whole time. He was just, and, like, you know, he's an actor or whatever, and it's his job to be good at it, but he's, like, so fucking good at it. Because he was just, like, staring, but he just somehow, like, had this perfect look of absolute sadness.
Yeah, and then it was, like, the pacing for that was
and
really
it took my
good, too.
dumbass, like, 30 seconds to notice, but, like...
And then it was, like... and it's like the pacing was good because it's like, you know, something horrible happened to him because a lot of fucked shit's happened to that dude and he just rolls with the punches.
Like, he literally had just been, like, tortured for 10 hours and then he was just on a bus, like, winking at some chick.
Did you see the thing about that?
What?
The fact that, there's this theory because the chick that was on that bus... The housekeeper at the hotel that Cha-Cha and Hazel were staying at, one of the people that left the bank when they were kids, and that woman that came up to 5 at the bowling alley and asked if he wanted to bowl with her son, all look really similar, with just, like, different hairstyles, but they're, like, the same... body type and like really and like the same face and like, you know, some of the pictures they got weren't like, you know, like that great, so I mean they might have just been different people, but they all look really similar, and so people are like, she's up to something.
Is that why everyone's talking about Kenny's mom?
Yes.
It took me like a solid like hour to figure out even who that was, and I was like, oh
maybe
yeah,
they're here for Kenny's birthday.
I was like, oh yeah, that chick from the bowling alley. Why do people care? Is it just what like people are using for like incorrect quotes when they just need like a random person?
Yeah, no, but there's this whole theory that she's got some shit happening, but just like it's just so good because it's like, you know that some shit happened to him, but then you don't know what it is for a while, and it's like so much shit happened to him and then he just kind of like blew it off. Like, it's like, it seemed almost out of character for him to get so angry and upset at that suitcase. So then you're like, what the hell? Where the hell did he go? What the hell happened to him?
Because it was like he seemed like he just took a lot of shit throughout that show. It was just kind of like, whatever. Probably because he was high for most of it, so he's like, I don't care about anything. But, like, still, it was very, like, jarring.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good. I'm not sure how I feel about the ending of season 1. Because I really liked the ending to the comic.
The comic didn't end on a cliffhanger, which is good considering it took till last year for them to come out with another one of it. And the original ones came out in, like, 2008?
Some shit like that. He was writing it while they were on the Black Parade tour. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The funny stories at the back of the Umbrella Academy about how, like, the artists and editors were, like, freaking out because Gerard would just suddenly drop off the face of the earth because he was on tour and then just have to be like, yee. just giving them things like right on the deadline, like it's fine.
Yeah, but, like, I liked the ending of the comic but, you know, I understand why some people probably wouldn't like it like that because it was kind of like,
it just kind of ended.
It just kind of ended very abruptly, which is, again, part of, like, is a thing with comics that I've noticed, is that they're a little bit anticlimactic sometimes, because we're used to this, like, big, long thing that has so many plot twists and things, and then in comics it's just like, boom, bam, you done. Peace out, y'all. Which isn't a bad thing, it's just different, it's just something to get used to. So I kind of see why they didn't really do it like that, but I do really hope that they give, like, Colossus telekinesis, since that was, like, a big thing in stopping the apocalypse in the comic. And I'm excited to see where they'll take it.
Confused as to where they're time traveling to.
I don't know either.
Because, like, I've heard a lot of people saying that they were time traveling back to when they were kids, but that wouldn't make any sense. Because then there'd just be, like, 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not the kind of time traveling where you go back as, like, you just go back as your own separate physical being. So, like... there'd just suddenly be 14 children?
Well, would it? Because, I mean, like, in the day that was and the day that wasn't, it's like when he went back in time, he just went back to, like, where...
What?
Like, when 5 went back in time, it wasn't like there were 2 5s running around.
Because in the day that was, 5 wasn't there. Remember, he was at the commission still.
Right.
So, like, when he went back in time, there was only... Back in time to the beginning of that day, there was only one of him because he wasn't there.
Yeah, you're right, I'm dumb. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure what's gonna happen with that, but I'm excited to see it. And then I also hope they give Diego his water powers, because the boy needs something else other than knife-throwy abilities.
Highly specific telekinesis.
Yeah.
I mean, holding your breath for as long as you want. Why can't he just breathe underwater? Why? Because, like, I guess it just means he's not breathing. Can he only hold his breath when he's underwater, or can he do that, like, on dry land too?
Who the hell knows?
Like, does he just have 2 very specific superpowers?
Yeah. So, do you have anything else you want to say? 'Cause I'm done.
No, not really.
Well, let's see how long this has been happening. Too long, probably.
Thick 2 hours.
We told you we had so many things to say.
The longest podcast we've ever had.
It's all we can think about. But we hope you enjoyed. If you watched all the way to the end, God bless you and Godspeed. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed however far you got into this mess. And we hope that you too deeply enjoy the Umbrella Academy, because it's some good fucking shit. Anyway, watch our other podcasts. Subscribe if you want. They're shorter than this. Bye.
Bye.